Well, hello everybody and welcome to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter. We may or may not have had a double intro there. Apologies for that. But hey, if you're joining, it's Friday and Brian Wolf is in the house and Arif Hoysan, Viviana Prado, Lauren Stanton, Umacorn, and Brian and Ruth W. Wade A. Cuff is moderating this whole thing. Come on over if you're watching on YouTube. Come to Behance. Join us here. And if you want to learn a little bit more on this fine Friday about the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, you can check it out over at behance.net/challenge/XD. Hit that big blue button, watch the videos, scroll down to get all of the challenges. You can watch this on replay and watch the video live or on replay, and you can get the starting files, and then scroll down a little bit further, hit that join us button, and that's how you can sign up and be a part of the Adobe XD Discord server, where there's over 60,000 creatives, I think over 65,000 creatives right now, which is amazing. And that's where you can post your work to get feedback and review and find mentors and friends and, you know, all sorts of stuff over there in Discord. Speaking of encouragement and fun, let's talk about the starting file that we have for today. We are on challenge number 9 out of 9 for this week's, or the end of the 2-week challenge here, the XD Creative Challenge from January 3rd to the 14th, and I can't talk today, but the challenge prompt today is to design a plant scanner that identifies plants and gives you purchase and care information. That's what we want. We're going to create a fun interaction where you can scan and then see what you scanned. We have some inspiration down there, as well as a resource booklet, and all you have to do is hit the component states to unlock all the fun things inside. So if you need icons and different things, you can find them in there. I also have a starting file that I've gone ahead and worked on a little bit just to save us a little bit of time, because time is always of the essence here on this XD challenge. We have a bunch of images, so you can use those if you'd like, but I actually have all those images here on my desktop. And so we'll be pulling in some fun images of actual areas, but also some really cool plants. We have some 3D elements of plants, but more stuff of plants. Obviously, it's a plant app. We need plant imagery to work. All right. Here we go. Brian Wolf says, first time here, not too late though. Hey, it's never too late to get started on the challenge, as Wade A. Cuff posts that link to the starting file right there. In case you missed it, you can find it right there. All right, in our starting file on our artboard, our plant scanner artboard, we have a few things already built. I went ahead and took care of some of the boring stuff, got the mundane stuff out of the way. We made a plant card here, and we have the start to kind of a little navigation, and we have the start to kind of a little table row cell, so we can shop through different plants. So we'll fill that out right now. We'll build ourselves a little navigation, and we'll make the primary action to be our scan button. So we have a couple of icons up here, and let's grab those and move those down below, down yonder, to where we're probably going to put them. All right, but let's finish building out the top of our application right now. I'm just going to hit Z for zoom and zoom in, and then I'm going to take our plant card, and I can do one of two things. I can hit Command R and repeat grid, or I can just pull a bunch and move them over and put them in a stack. You do you. You do how you like to do it. Me personally, I'm just going to pull a version over like that. And I have my plant is kind of masked inside this pyramid here, but I'm going to figure out what the distance is between the card and the card. And I'm doing that by holding down Command, and then I'm holding down the Option or Start key. And you can see if we zoom in just a little bit when I do that, I'm about 51 pixels away. Okay, so there's just a couple different ways. This is me holding down Command, right? And like actually drilling down to kind of hover and select things. This is me holding down just the Option key, and it's going to go to the nearest element. But if I drill down and measure, we get very specific in there, right? So now I'm going to be about, let's see, take our entire card, go over 1. We should be about 50. Let's go, woo, mess that up, 40, 30, maybe 20, right? So when we measure our card now, we should be about 20 pixels over. It's exactly what we want, even though they're kind of impeding on each other. It's because of that big, mask that we have going on back there. All right. So I'm going to grab both of them like this, group them together, zoom out, so you can see that now I'm going to put them in a stack. By activating stacks, we have the ability to space things. So you can see they're actually negative 183 pixels away from each other. And woo, we were doing some wonky stuff there. So let's just make sure that the stack is on. Should be able to grab each card, and then, whoa, there are weird things happening. So here's what we're going to do, friends. We're going to check out in our layers panel and figure out what is going on. We click inside of here. We got a plant and a plant. Okay. All right. What's going on here? This is our header. I'll tell you what, it's probably this plant. And I really love how it's like overhanging. So you know what? We're just going to, right now, just to save us some time, we're going to troubleshoot and we're going to do the simplest possible thing, which is just to ditch the stack or the group, and we'll just group them together like this. All right. They might be a little imperfect. That's okay. I just put them into a normal group without the stack turned on. And now I'm going to select the image there. All right. With the image selected, I'm going to go over here and find a new plant. Let's drag that in. Boom. We got a nice little plant there. And we can always click inside the mask and remask them around. I love the three-dimensionality of it. I just find it to be really fun. So let's grab another one. Let's do one more plant in here. Whoop, just like that. Move it around. If we wanted to, we could do another one. Why not? Let's do another one, shall we? Just drag another one out right there. Click inside. Uno más. One more. Oh, that's the same one as before. Do we have a different one? We should have a different one right there. Boom. That's our different one. Beautiful. Okay. And apparently they're all Monstera because I only know a few plant names. Like I'm going to call this one a ficus. If you're a big plant fan and you're like, that's not a ficus. I get it. I get it. I'm sorry. I'm going to call this a fiddle fig. A fiddle fig. I don't think that's what it is, but we'll let it go. Okay. Now with all of our items selected inside of our group, I'm just going to turn on a scroll group because that's all I want to do with this one. I'm going to add a little instant interactivity. With my blue handles, I can drag over and figure out where the horizontal scroll cuts off. And you know it's a horizontal scroll because when I zoom in, you can see I have horizontal scroll selected. I can do vertical scroll, or I could do vertical and horizontal, which is really great for maps, different interactive elements you need to pan and scroll around. But this one for me works just fine because now I can grab and I can drag around. And there's some automatic spacing here. It's got a native kind of baked in kind of bounce and rhythm to it, which is nice. Thank you, XD, for making my life so easy. I'm going to move this up just a little bit. I'm going to rename my layer and call it plant list. All right, so far so good. Somebody said fiddle fig. Don't laugh. That's the real name of a plant. It's not that plant, but it is the name of a plant. I do know that. All right. Now, we could have a little bit of fun with our navigation if we want to, but that's not really where the magic's going to happen today. So let's just finish this portion up real quick. I'm just going to pop another one of our rows in there and line them up. And let's just come in here and replace these images. So I love that drag and drop for that Adobe XD offers us. We just drag a few of these in there. That's the same one, isn't it? Let's go this one here instead. And uno más right down there. And let's just rework rework that. That looks perfect. Okay, now with that done, let's build a fixed navigation that can kind of like pop into place, shall we? I think it could be fun. So I'm going to draw a rectangle along the bottom edge here, okay? And I'm using, my color palette is pretty nice today. I'm a big fan of it. So I'm going to turn the border off real quick and I'm going to show you my color palette. I have kind of like nice greens, obviously black, white, and some nice neutral colors. I'm going to make my navigation pure white on the bottom, and then that'll allow things, we'll do a little bit of like a highlight or a hover. We're going to make it nice and big here, nice big navigation. And why don't we take all of our elements in here. We have all of our groups. These are our rows, right? Let's group that together, and then we'll group it together with the shop plants section, and we'll move the whole thing up a little bit. That way it is peaking. This is kind of a little UI UX tutorial, but peaking is a technical term, and it's very important, right? To let users know that there's more things off screen, you always want to leave certain elements peaking. That tells people, it indicates to users, there is a horizontal swipe here. I just lost my screen for a second. I apologize. Same here. This is going to let us know, hey, scroll down. There's more goodies to be seen. And goodies is not a technical term, but peaking is, all right? So, and that is your UI lesson for the day. All right, I'm going to shrink these icons down a little bit, and we're just going to evenly space them out. You could do something real fun here. You could do like a popped out like main navigation item, but we're just going to evenly disperse these. We're going to balance them, disperse them, and let's grab them and just all three of them. They're a little hard to grab because there's no backgrounds on my icons. We're going to put them just like so. All right. This border is a little bit thick. We want our icons to match a little bit. So let's go like 1.7. That's a little bit better. I like that. And this one's a little thin as well. So I'm going to put a border on it. This is makeshift, super duper fast, icon like editing. You want to be very, very nitty gritty about your icons, but it's okay. We can do that. We are currently on our plant list. So why don't we turn that into our active state color? And I'm going to Command Shift Y, open up my assets, and you can see all the assets or components that I have. I'm going to add that color in there because I like that color. And anytime I use it, like here, I want to make sure that I'm using that color, because if you don't know about assets and components and document assets and libraries, the moment I change this, it changes it everywhere if I change it from my asset panel. So that's important to note. All right, let's bring our assets back up. We're looking pretty good here. And I tell you what, everything's a little bit soft. So I'm going to grab, like the corners are rounded and everything's just kind of friendly. So I'm going to hold down the Option key. I'm going to drag and just kind of round the top left of my shape instead of grabbing and doing it the same everywhere. You can also zoom in to the inspector panel over here, and you can do the same thing. So I can just type 32, boom, and we round and we look good. We like it. It's nice and soft. I'm going to drop a little drop shadow here. I'm going to go negative Y axis, which will bring my drop shadow up. Let's blur it out quite a bit and bring the opacity down below 10 so that it's very subtle. We always want drop shadows to be subtle. They should never be super duper in your face like that. Okay, let's group the whole thing and call this nav. We like it. It's all working good. I love what we're seeing here. Okay, this is the shop section. Let's call it the shop section, just like so. Beautiful. And then what you can do is you can grab this and you can just say, hey, fix position when scrolling. Whoa, I lost it there. Fix position when scrolling. That way when we do our prototype, and we don't need our starting file anymore. So let's just move away from it so we can focus to focus a little bit more. So now when we press play, there is content down below, or we can tell Adobe XD there is by bringing the artboard down, right? And now when we press play, we can scroll and our navigation is going to stay fixed. All right. So we have scroll group there and we have natural scrolling that's going on there. If we're going to do that, let's just duplicate these and have lots of content. Okay. So I'm going to grab my artboard one more time and I'm going to bring it down all the way to the end. And remember that where your artboard ends, you need to make space for that navigation. So I'm just going to kind of, just guesstimate where it's going to stop. But when I press play, now look at all the scrolling and I'm still able to access my navigation, hit all those list items. Pretty sleek, pretty sweet. All right, we're going to do our scanning portion now. So when we press our scan button here, which is kind of our primary action, isn't it? So can we just spice this up a little bit? It's a little bit boring, isn't it? So I'm going to hit E for ellipse. I'm going to drag a nice big ellipse out. I'm going to take the border off. I'm going to fill it with my primary color, and let's just drop it behind. Ooh, not that far behind. And let's make our icon white then to kind of pop a little bit. I lost my screen again. I don't know why that's happening, folks, but I do apologize. Oh no, why is it happening so much? We got problems. We got so many problems, but this looks a little bit better. Now we know what the primary action is supposed to be. We really want people to be scanning things. All right, so let's put that right in the middle of our icon there and group it together. That looks beautiful. Now it's a nice big easy tap point as well. And if you really want to make it a little bit more user friendly, you could probably come in and just turn the border up on these a little bit more so it's really easy to see. Okay. Okay, cool. Now we're going to click on that. We're going to create a like the scanning portion. So let's do another artboard here. And I say, let's just drag a big rectangle out, because as soon as you do that, we want kind of the camera just to open up, right? Okay, that's what we want. So, oh, I just did an artboard. We don't want that. We want a rectangle inside of our artboard, and we're going to take the border off. And I have this image of a room, which when we're prototyping, kind of should make it feel a little bit more like you are actually scanning inside of a room. So, but we're going to take that image and just bounce it up like really high and focus maybe on a plant that's like on a desk, right? So again, like for prototype purposes, we want people to feel like this object is in a room, like the user has tapped it and now they're scanning, now they're looking around. So why don't we do this? Why don't we borrow our scan icon and bring it in, and we'll do a little bit of work over here. Okay, so I'm going to paste it right in there, and I'm still having problems for some reason, my screen blanking in and out. I do apologize about that, but we want to be scanning this element right there. So let's just make sure it's kind of dead center to kind of mimic that idea of scanning things. Okay. All right. And then we are going to we're going to do a fun animation here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a rectangle that matches the size of my scan block. Okay. And I'm going to select it. I'm going to take the border off. I'm going to fill it with a linear gradient going from white to white, and then one side is going to be gone, basically, right? Okay. So we want the scan to basically go like a Xerox, and then this side will kind of follow it, and then we want it to go and scan back up. That's kind of what we're hoping for. So I'm gonna hide this up here, right? Let's call this scan 1. I'm gonna duplicate it, and I'm gonna call the second one scan 2. We're gonna be using some timed triggers today. Let me tuck this right in here. Beautiful. And I'll take the opacity of it down. Okay. And I'm going to bring this one here. I'll bring the opacity of scan 1 down. I love it. And now let's just put a big green scan button somewhere, shouldn't we? We should definitely do that. Hey, the user has already, well, and maybe it should just happen. I was going to say maybe it should just happen like timed, but that's okay. We'll do a big scan button. We'll just borrow. Why don't we just borrow our scan button? That's way better, right? Pop this thing in here. And let's just make it a lot bigger now, though, so it's very obvious. Okay, so we're just going to make sure it's centered like so. Very easy for the user to get to it with their thumb. Very tappable. We like tappable things. Okay, from here, I tell you, I don't like this image. It's just not very flattering. You know, can we scan something else that's a little bit more green and interesting? Yeah, that desk was cool, but I think this looks a little bit nice. Yeah, doesn't that look nicer? It should be about green. You should see a lot of greenery in this app. Okay, so let's just scan that. And then as soon as they scan, okay, so hold on. We're gonna go scanner. We're gonna call that artboard scanner. And then we're gonna go scanner 1. Woo! Holding down option, dragging a new artboard out, just duplicates it. Beautiful. Okay, so we want it to go down. Obviously, we want the opacity to come up. Okay, and then scanner 1.2 is really what we want to title this. Hello, where are you at? Artboards 1.2, like so. We want our scan to go down, just like that. Beautiful, and then it'll go off, all right? Now, you can see exactly what I'm doing here is I'm going to prototype it really quickly. Let's wire it up. When somebody presses scan, they'll be led to our scan screen, all right? Now, from here, nothing's going to happen, but when they tap the scan again, it's going to scan the circular or the plant, and then we want it to move once, and then I'm going to grab not the object but the artboard itself and do a timed transition. So we're going to do time, but first let's go back and say scan. So when we tap this, we want it to auto animate to scanner 1, and we want ease in. Yeah, let's ease in on this one, and let's have it take about 0.8, so shorter, 0.6 seconds. And this next one is going to be timed, no delay, so it just picks right up for the other one left off, from where the other one left off. Auto animate, and I think we eased in, so now we need to ease out for another 0.6 seconds. Let's see if we can do this, all right? Let's see if we can get this thing to work. I'm going to press home for our flow and press play and see what we get. Okay, so again, we can scroll around a little bit, which is nice. Let's go ahead and go to the scanner. Here we are, and we're gonna press scan. There's our first scan. It happened in 0.6 seconds. It happened kind of fast, didn't it? But that's okay, we like it, because we gotta go up now too. So from here, let's see, it scans, it goes down, and it stops. Okay, and now, let's go back to our design tab, grab our next artboard, and go scanner, and we want to call this one scanner 2.1, and this is where we take our second scan and move it up and bring the opacity up. You guessed it, just like the other one. Okay, and then Whoop, we bring it down like that. So we're gonna get this double scan, and then we'll surface the plant or like the data that it collected from doing the scanning. Okay, so it did that. It shot over. From here, we can do another timed transition. Okay, so timed, no delay, same thing, but we're gonna ease in, and the second one we're going to ease out. Okay, ease out, and we should end up at that very last one. Let's try it again. We should get a double here, right? Press scan, scan it. It's doing a little scan. I wish I had a scanning noise. I've lost my video. Oh no, I've lost my video, but that's okay because I think you can still hear me. So if you can still hear me, all is gonna be well. All will be all right. So I do apologize about any and all technical difficulties today, but we're gonna keep cruising. And because we're gonna keep cruising, I'm going to get this thing out of the way. So I don't have a big black box there anymore, okay? But just stay with me, folks. It's no me on screen, but there's still a screen, all right? We will keep going until the internet breaks down. The last thing we want to do is just surface a little bit of plant information, okay? So why don't we just steal one of these? So I'm gonna go here to design. I love that first plant. So what we're gonna do is go like this. Okay, we'll do one more, and this is outcome or result. Okay, and I'm gonna take my whole scan face recognition thing. I'm gonna bring it down like this, and I'm gonna bring my scan button down, and we'll just bring the opacity down. Beautiful. And then I'm gonna just paste something real quick right over here. We're gonna pull some elements from it here in a second. I'm gonna hit R for rectangle, and why don't we do like a cool glass card here? We'll just round the corners a little bit, and then we're almost done. We'll be looking at some work today and reviewing some people's work. Okay, so I'm gonna do, yeah, that looks pretty cool. And why don't we go to not background blur, but object blur? Not object blur, but background blur. That's the one we want. As soon as you do that, you get a little bit of a glass effect, and you can play with the sliders and choose the effect that you want. Do we want a little bit lighter? Do we want a little bit darker? I think maybe I like it a little bit on the lighter side. And we'll thicken up the opacity of the glass there. We still want to see through it a little bit, like so. And I'm going to take our plant that's inside of our cool trapezoid deal and paste it right in there, okay? And that tells me, because it's hard to see, we want to bring up the lightness of our glass a little bit more. Now you can add a little bit more glass detail here if you'd like to by doing an inner shadow. So we're going to do a little inner shadow here. And we'll do one, and we'll take the blur away. You can see the blur goes down. We'll make sure that the inner shadow is white, and let's bring the opacity of it up. See that little glare that we're getting now on the top of our glass? Okay, it's a bit much, but we can always come back in and mess with it a little bit. You can drop a little blur on it like so. I like that a lot. That's working. And if we want to, we could add a little drop shadow, very light drop shadow to this. You know, just a little bit, and see how heavy it could be. It's going to mess up. It's going to mess our whole glass vibe up. But if we keep it real low, we'll just get a little bit of the drop shadow, and that works for us. Okay. From there, you can just put like a title here. Let's grab this whole card bit that was over here, and we'll pop it on our glass card. And we'll get our results, and we will pretty much be done. So let's fill it all with black so you can see the card or see the information. We're running out of time. That's okay. Let's hang the plant over just a little bit, and we'll just position things. We don't want it hanging over too much where we can't see the rest of our stuff. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. Yeah, if you want to, you could scale this up a little bit so we can see it, and then put some sort of action button there. That's what I recommend. But we'll grab this, and we will drop it down below, copy it, and put the bring the opacity down, and we'll do the same thing here, right? So now it's going to pop up for us. Let's bring the opacity back up, actually, where we had it. We're going to get our result here. So once it has scanned, let's go back to prototype, and we'll lead it to the next screen. Hey, we want time, no delay. We want 6 seconds there, and everything should pop up. All right, so get a little bit of a scanning kind of interaction today, and we are just about done. Let's just scan, and we go 1 and a 2 and we get our information that pops up. And that is it for the day. I think we are done with our stream, and I wish my video would work, but it just does not work. And so this is Jesse Showalter. Trust me, I'm here. I am really here, signing off. And I wish we would have had a little bit more time to look at some of this amazing work. But stick around, because there is always time. There's always more amazing content here on Adobe Live. And so make sure you post your stuff inside of Discord, on Behance, watch the replays. And I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. We will see you next time. I hope you have an amazing Friday and amazing weekend. Take care.